is Monday, October 13th, 2025. This Committee of Finance, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion is called to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Here.
Present. Present.
All right, I don't think we have any guests, so we're just going to go ahead into the agenda. Let's bring up city planning, and then after city planning, public safety. So city planning, ordinance number 1215-2025 as amended by council members Hairston, Polisic, and Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance to supplement the codified ordinances of Cleveland, Ohio, 1976 by enacting new section 401.711 relating to the definition of underspeed vehicles and to enact sections 450.01 to 450.08 and 450.99 relating to underspeed vehicles. And there is an amendment, and the amendment states that there is no legal objection to this legislation if amended as follows. 1, in section 2, at section 450.07, insert new division B to read as follows. B, the telephone number, email address, and name or DBA designation filed with the Secretary of State for the entity responsible for operating the underspeed vehicle, and renumber existing divisions and the new divisions C and D respectively. This was dated 10/8/25, signed by Nicholas Delaney, Assistant Director of Law. Director Mersman and Director Drummond.
Good afternoon, Council President, Chair, and Committee. This is a partnership between City Planning and Public Safety. This piece allows golf carts, defined legally as underspeed vehicles, to operate on the City of Cleveland streets if they are associated with a legitimate business interest. We're joined here this afternoon by two entrepreneurs in Cleveland who approached the city a couple of years ago about bringing this ordinance into place and working with the city and council to make it happen. There is an Ohio Revised Code section that requires local municipalities to adopt local ordinances to allow golf carts to operate on local streets. So this piece incorporates those things that are required by the Ohio Revised Code, namely that golf carts are tagged, titled, and registered with the state and have certain safety features such as headlights, taillights, brake lights, turning signals, seatbelts, et cetera, and also gives authority to the Director of Public Safety to establish rules and regulations to govern the use of underspeed vehicles, golf carts, associated with businesses in the City of Cleveland. It also sets up an annual inspection requirement that the Bureau of Traffic will conduct, where each golf cart has to be inspected and certified that it meets the requirements in this ordinance. The businesses are also required to keep information on their business and authorized drivers on record with the Bureau of Traffic, and the Bureau will take in service area maps for each business and transmit those to City Council through the clerk. So this is an initial introduction of golf carts legally on city streets to support small businesses. Like I said, we are joined by two representatives here today who can talk through their business models, but the overall goal is to provide mobility opportunities and options, especially between entertainment districts or in neighborhoods where distances might be a little bit too far to walk, but don't necessarily necessitate travel by car. I will yield to Director of Public Safety should there be anything that he or police would like to add, and then I'm happy to take any questions from the committee.
Good afternoon, Chair and Committee. The Division of Police, and more specifically Commissioner Gordon Holmes and his staff did vet this legislation. Their concerns and questions were answered, so we are good with this particular legislation. And also it does give me, the Director of Public Safety, the authority for rules and regulations, and also the ability and authority to limit the locations and the areas of these golf carts if that becomes an issue.
Okay. Commissioner, did you want to add anything? Good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. All right, just a couple of questions. First of all, I know that this was debated vigorously in public safety, but just a couple of things. How would you determine zones that you would exempt or zones that you would regulate? Because I know that there's always suggestions to use golf carts in order to take people back and forth to parking lots and parking locations. I can speak, for example, in Little Italy. I know there's a proposal to try to have people take golf carts to try to take customers back and forth to lots where they park their cars. So how would you determine the need? How would you actually determine what districts you would allow this to happen, what districts you wouldn't?
To the chair, as we were discussing this and talking with the businesses, there are currently no restrictions on service areas. We're very interested in seeing what the demand is and not ruling out certain neighborhoods or districts from the beginning. But the ordinance does give the Director of Public Safety the authority, should issues emerge, to restrict service areas. It also gives him the authority, as with any vehicle, to restrict access around special events. And so in safety, as well as with the businesses, we've talked, for example, about the Browns games. There are certain traffic restrictions. Those would also apply to these golf carts. But at this point, as we're entering a new program, we didn't want to be overly regulatory about what could happen, just have the authority in place should it be needed to preserve public safety.
Thank you so much, Director. And just so that you know, I agree, there's a lot of variables that can take place. I mean, you look at weather, you look at traffic patterns and traffic at the time of day. Like I said, I could use Little Italy, for example. If it's a day like today, it's going to be crowded up there during the feast, so it's going to be hard to navigate with that. So I'm just trying to figure out how and when do we actually look at this. But what you're saying is it's pretty much learning as we implement and then give the director an opportunity to make adjustments as he sees fit. Will that be done in consultation with the council member of that standing area?
Through the chair, absolutely. The assessment will be done, and obviously if there's a call to restrict those, obviously we'll include the council members in that conversation, in those conversations.
Okay. Oh, I would hope so, because it's been lately a few arbitrary decisions that we want to make sure that council should have some feedback in the process. How do we look at the zones? Like, where would they actually be allowed to ride? Because, for example, I never forget a group of young people were riding their bikes, and everybody was upset because they thought it was a street takeover, and then they very astutely said, but this is a shared lane. So how will they be regulated? Because one of the things we want to be careful about is putting them on roads that might be shared lanes or something like that, and people using those kind of vehicles and having problems with some of the other safety or other vehicles around safety. So how will we determine some of those things?
One of the provisions of the state requirements is that these vehicles be only allowed on streets with 35 mile per hour speed limits or lower. That's our local street network, basically. They would not be authorized to operate on interstates because of that higher speed limit. They are, by virtue of this ordinance, subject to all vehicular traffic laws, and so they would operate in the road as any other vehicle subject to all of those laws. As part of the application process, each business will provide their own service area map to police that will then be shared with council. As I stated before, that's written into the ordinance through some conversation that we had with Development, Planning, and Sustainability Committee. And then above and beyond that, the Director of Public Safety has the authority to restrict further should it be needed.
Well, last but not least, and I'll turn it over to my colleagues for a few questions. I'm really also concerned about safety around this, not just from a vehicle safety standpoint, but somebody just wants to start a golf cart business and, start shipping people around in certain neighborhoods. And something happens, then, is there going to be liability issues, or people are going to start saying, well, the city should do a better job of protecting us? So I just hope that we're thinking about safety on this too, because I could just see this as being, unfortunately, where if somebody doesn't have a very good business model, that it could be some challenges around safety as well. So please keep that in mind as well, okay? I have Councilman Michael Polensek, and do I have anybody else? Councilman Michael Polensek.
Thank
and
you.
Councilman Kevin Bishop.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, as you indicated, we had a lengthy discussion in the Safety Committee about this piece of legislation, and both of the present two operators testified as well. So I appreciate that. But I do have a couple questions as a result of phone calls that I have received since the Safety Committee met last week. To Commissioner, through the chair to Commissioner Holmes, how many traffic officers do we have at present working under your auspices?
Right now, we have 20.
20. So I know that's down significantly from what it used to be. So how are your officers how is your section going to regulate the golf carts?
Through the chair to the councilman, we are going to instruct our officers exactly what can and cannot happen.
Okay.
Most of them know rules of the road.
Yeah.
We are in the districts each day. We take a different district each day, and we saturate that. And then once a week, we have operations with the Ohio State Patrol and all the district traffic cars, and we saturate one district a week for that. But most importantly, it's the training. We are working through radio right now to have something in the CAS system that, for instance, whoever's business it is, these are the listed drivers, these are the
Okay.
permit numbers, and things like that. So
you don't-
we'll have the master copy at the office, and then radio is going to have a copy as well.
So you don't think this will be an issue from an administration standpoint of trying to govern the golf carts, the operators?
No, it hasn't been even with the initial rollout of the scooters and some of these bikes and things like
Okay.
that. It really wasn't. We just have to educate our personnel on what can and cannot happen.
Okay. So then the other question was posed to me, Mr. Chairman, to Director of City Planning and to the Director of Public Safety. Since this is a program just getting started, why don't we limit the number of operators right out of the gate? Limit it to 10. Because if we have a proliferation of golf carts on the street, as some of these callers have indicated to me, it could create a problem from an administration standpoint, governance. The council president alluded to a couple issues. So I want to hear your thoughts about limiting it to 10 operators. We have 2 that we know of that are here, but for a trial basis, limit it to 10. We could always expand that, but why not just limit it to 10 out of the gate?
To the councilman through the chair, when we think about putting caps on it, I think there's a question about number of operators and also number of vehicles, because we
Yep.
do expect that any given operator would have multiple potential vehicles as part of their business model. At this point,
No,
because,
excuse me, I'm talking companies,
yes,
10 companies.
yes.
Now, if they operate multiple units, that's something, but I'm talking 10 companies.
At this point, I think we're very interested in learning what sorts of applications businesses have for golf carts. In our conversations, it didn't make sense to restrict right out of the gate because we don't know what those interests might be. There could be operators operating in different parts of the city and different neighborhoods. It just didn't seem in the best interest of the business community as well as service to residents to put a cap on it. At this point, I feel that would be a little bit arbitrary, and we would have to take it on a first-come, first-served basis, which would potentially we don't want to be in the position of choosing between businesses, right? So I think first come, first serve would be the only fair way to do it at this point. However, as we've discussed, there is the authority to put caps on it should there be an issue, or to pause the license issuance should that be needed.
Okay, but you regulate, Department of Public Safety regulates how many tow operators there are in the city.
Through the chair, that's correct.
Yeah.
We do in the Department of Public Safety, but
Right.
to the director's point, we have the ability to restrict. We have the
Okay.
ability to restrict areas.
Okay.
Also, after an assessment, the initial assessment, again, we can restrict areas. Also, the number of potential businesses as well. But I think you have to
Okay.
give the businesses the opportunity. Let's conduct our assessment and then go from there.
Okay. Well, again, I'm gonna throw that on the table because again, you don't want a proliferation where then people are not. It's not to their financial best interest to be an operator in the city of Cleveland. So I want to oppose that because if you have a flood to the market, then that is not going to work as well. It won't work. Because if people aren't going to make money, they're not going to do this. That's the reality. They're not doing it for charity work. They're going to do it because they want to make money. I'm assuming, directing at the two operators, you're not in the charity business, correct?
That's correct. And-
Okay, I'm glad to hear that. Okay.
And to the
Okay.
councilman, through the chair to the councilman, just for some context there, it's about $12,000 to $17,000 for a street legal golf cart.
Yeah.
So just for context, it's not like there's going to be, people just popping up and flooding the streets with, street legal golf carts.
I understand. And then my last point is this. Then the people who called me, homeowners who want golf carts. That's right. So the folks who are living in the quote-unquote trendy neighborhoods who called me from Tremont, Ohio City, from sections of Detroit Shoreway, who want to be able to run around in their neighborhoods in golf carts. And why aren't they being allowed to do so? So I would ask, because that's not my call, and because I believe, as I said to them, this is for businesses to transport. This is not for you to go to the West Side Market, okay? So would you two care to comment about individuals operating so they don't start calling council members asking us so they can run golf carts in the city?
To the councilman through the chair, a lot of the discussion around this ordinance has been how to strike the right balance between allowing golf carts to be introduced
Yeah.
to the streets and not opening the floodgates. I think your questions are sort of following that theme as
Right.
well. In our discussions, we collectively felt that offering operations for business purposes was a good and responsible way to start so that we didn't have a proliferation of golf carts. There was a mechanism for the inspections to happen, for registered drivers to be kept on file. So we could really see how things roll out, learn on our own streets about how these are operating on Cleveland. Commissioner Holmes talked about education
Right.
and ramping up the inspections. This felt like a very responsible place to start. There's nothing to say that we couldn't come back to council in the future or council couldn't bring this up in the future to continue to open the door. But as with anything new on the streets, we want to be sure that we are keeping streets as safe as possible, increasing mobility options while trying to keep the potential downsides and trade-offs as limited as possible.
Okay. Director, through the chair, Director Drummond.
I have to echo what the director just said.
Okay.
We're in full agreement.
Okay. So then to the viewing public, do not call your council members because we cannot authorize golf carts on the street. I know the council president wants to drive around Little Italy in a golf cart, but we can't let him do that, okay? So it's only for businesses operating within the city of Cleveland. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. And before I move to Councilman Bishop, we do have two guests at the table. Could they announce who they are so that everybody could become familiar with them?
Yeah, hi, my name is Bob Polk, and I'll be one of the ones doing it. Leisure Tours Cleveland, it's called. I've been giving tours in the city since 2011 on bicycles, and now as I'm getting older and some of the people don't always want to ride bicycles, I saw this as an avenue to be able to still do my tours and, show the people around the city.
Thank you.
My name is Chris Taylor. I'm one of the operators as well. I represent the Golf Cart Girls CLE. This started a couple years ago with Callie, and Commissioner Holmes knows as well. I was on the streets with golf carts. I did not realize that they were illegal at the time, so we submitted for this ordinance. For us, it's about getting the city more connected from entertainment district to entertainment district, limited mobility folks, things like that. We want to do point A to point B. We'll get into a couple tours, maybe something like that, but that's kind of where we're at as well.
Thank you. And let me say this. I think the idea actually makes sense because when you look at districts that want to be connected, I was working overtime to try to find out how we can have a loop that goes between Little Italy University Circle, Shaker Square, Larchmere. And, this may be helpful. So at some point in time, Mike, we may have Ward 6 look like Put-in-Bay. So don't count it out because I think it would be a cool thing if we were able to do that. So Councilman Kevin Bishop.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I'm sorry that I didn't catch this during the safety committee because I did have some questions about it. So I want to understand, we are trying to allow operators to operate these golf courts only in certain zones. Is that what I'm hearing to the chair, to the director?
Director.
To the councilman through the chair, no, at this point, there are no restricted zones. There are two things that apply to geography. One is that each business has to submit a proposed service area map as part of their application to the Bureau of Traffic, just for us to keep on record. And we, through an amendment made at DPS, will be sharing those with the impacted council members as well, just so you have awareness of potential golf cart business-related activity in your ward. The other geographic-related element is that this ordinance does give the authority to the Director of Public Safety to restrict service areas should they be needed. But we're not starting out from a point today of any restrictions.
So we are granting these golf carts to handpick businesses in the city of Cleveland. Is that what I'm hearing?
To the councilman through the chair, there's no handpicking. The application is available to anyone. By virtue of applying, the golf cart has to be inspected and approved by the Bureau of Traffic. And then the business has to have some documentation on file, as well as the authorized drivers on record with the police. At this point, there's no cap. Anyone who wishes to can apply and go through that process to receive approval.
Okay, because you know, I am not on board with not just with what Councilman Polensek has said, that, you know, if as a resident, if I want a golf cart, or if somebody else in other neighborhoods wants a golf cart, if they are riding golf carts downtown, I think we should all have the ability to have golf carts. With all fairness, if golf carts are not safe in the neighborhoods, they shouldn't be put on the streets in downtown Cleveland. If they're not safe in the neighborhood, they're not safe in downtown Cleveland also. So, Mr. President, I am not on board with this piece of legislation as it stands right now. So please, you can count me as a no vote.
Thank you, Councilman. And
Council President, could I clarify?
Yeah, I can let you respond, but once again, I think that's what Councilman Bishop is saying is what all of us saying is, like, we don't want this being limited to one or two areas. And that's why I think we need to try to understand how is this able to be operated in other areas. But to your point, go ahead.
To Councilman Bishop through the chair, there is no restriction to operating in neighborhoods. This ordinance authorizes any business interest to go to the Bureau of Traffic, apply, get their golf cart approved, and do their business in the city of Cleveland, whether it's neighborhood specific, citywide, et cetera. Whatever their business model is, this is a mechanism to authorize the golf carts on the street if it's associated with the business.
Thank you. But to everybody's point, we got to have some kind of standard operating procedures so that nobody feels like a decision was made to arbitrarily count somebody out because of a certain area. And that's what we want to try to avoid. I think his apprehension is the same as mine and everybody else. If I have somebody who wants to open up a business on Buckeye, to shuttle people between Larchmere, Buckeye, and Shaker Square, they should be able to do it if it's any neighborhood in the area. So I just want to make sure that we don't inadvertently have a biased policy where we cannot have standard operating procedures in how we're approving these.
Through the chair, great points you're bringing up. Also, Councilman, through the chair, through Councilman Bishop, understand your point. Point well taken. The requirements are the same for anyone across the board. The two gentlemen that are sitting here, others who may be in your neighborhood or Ward 6, and my mom lives in Ward 6, by the way, in that particular area, wherever it may be, the requirements are going to be the same. They have to have a business model. They have to get their golf carts inspected by the Bureau of Traffic. They have to have licensed drivers. It's the same no matter if you're downtown, in Councilman Polensek's area, your area, Councilman Conwell, wherever the case might be, the requirements are going to be the same.
Thank you. Councilman Brian Casey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, to the Commissioner, what is your capacity for inspecting golf carts? How many golf carts do you think you could inspect either at a time or within a week?
Well, I'm sorry, to the chair, to the councilman. We have two commercial vehicle enforcement. So they inspect, you know, trucks and things like that. So we just, our website, or I'm sorry, our email, bot.clevelandohio.gov just went up. We will schedule those as you know, time allots. We have one of them's on day shift, one of them's on afternoon shift. So I mean, we could probably do, 10 in a day, I would say, at most, that will allow us to still continue to serve the other citizens of
Right.
Cleveland.
So, Mr. Chairman, to Director, just as I brought up during finance, during safety, right? So you need to have your certificate from the state that you're a legitimate business, right? So I researched that and found out that that certificate will cost you anywhere from $5 to $50. Okay? So Brian decides he's going to go and get that certificate, right? And it's BK Transport, whatever. I take it down to the commissioner and have him inspect that golf cart, because I have one. And now there's nothing stopping me from touting around the whole city, because I'm a legitimate business, and you can't prove that I'm not transporting or I am transporting, because I'm a legitimate business with my certificate from the state. It's been inspected, but then I can use that golf cart as BK Transport to tout around the neighborhood, correct? I mean, that's one of the loopholes to this piece of legislation.
To the councilman through the chair, yes, to prove your business identity, we do require a certificate of good standing from the
Right.
Secretary of State to go with your application packet. I think anything beyond that would be up to the enforcement arm, and if it is very apparent that your activities are not associated with business activity, that's illegal per the
Correct, but I'm coming to you as BK Transport, correct? I'm just throwing that out there. You don't know what I'm transporting, or I'm giving people rides around West Park, or I'm going to see the council president instead of taking my vehicle. I'm driving my golf cart. I mean, there's no restrictions on the businesses itself, because we can't restrict the business, right? I mean, you can't. Or if I put my kid in the golf cart and we both go to visit the council president, now I'm transporting somebody, because you're not following whether I'm making money in the business or not. I just have to be in good standing, which is a certificate from the state, right? So that's another loophole that I see in this possibly being our city, influx with, golf carts or whatever they are. And the second point is, these are not allowed on city sidewalks, correct? These have to stay on streets.
That's correct. Streets 35 miles or below.
Okay. I mean, I brought that up in safety, did the research on how to get a certificate of good standing. It's not that difficult. And then it's none of the city's business what I'm doing, right? It's just I'm transporting, I'm BK Transport, I've got my certificate. The commissioner signs off on my golf cart, and away I go, just bebopping around Ward 16.
To the councilman through the chair, the application form does require you to put a description of your business activity in the application, and we also expect you to have any licenses or additional permissions that you need for whatever your business activity is. That's also included in the ordinance here.
Which are not difficult to get in this case. So I just wanted to bring that up as well. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I think whatever business owner takes this on, there's going to be a lot of growing pains in this thing. So I wish everybody the luck. I love trying new things like this. I just know that it's going to be fraught with a lot of risk. But just out of curiosity, how do we let weather play a factor into this? It probably wouldn't be a great idea to be out there in Cleveland with a snowstorm or very cold weather. Is that just a business decision that somebody has to make? Okay.
You got to be out for Browns games, Council Chair.
Yeah, okay.
The Browns fans are out. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, that's really problematic for even bicycles. Like, we aren't asking council to pass anything that bicycles aren't allowed to do. Whether you're delivering food downtown or food to the neighborhoods, or a church says, hey, we want to use this to deliver food to our parishioners, that's up to them. But it's the rules of the road, just like bicycles, just like scooters are supposed to operate, just like vehicles are supposed to operate.
Well, the one thing, I'm going to go back to Councilman Casey, but the one thing that I really think that would be good for this council to do is to be able to have like a review after maybe about 6 months to make sure that we understand how this is operating, where we need to tighten up some things, and go from there. Councilman Brian Casey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That brings up another point, Mr. Chairman of the Commissioner. What if one of their drivers or one of the drivers who are decides they're going to start door dashing with this? Right? Or, I mean, it's allowed, correct? I mean, this isn't just for human
Yeah, that's-
transport, correct?
Chair to the councilman, I'm sorry, Brian and I went to high
It's
school
it's all
together.
right.
I
We've known
apologize.
each other long enough.
Yes, that could be anything. It could be law firms needing, law papers delivered or packets delivered, maybe even the director will let me have one. I don't, you know what I
Right.
mean? So it encompasses not just transporting people, it can transport, the clinic could use it, Case could use it, Cleveland State could use it. It really is all encompassing.
Okay, so this is not just for human transportation of bodies from point A to point B. This could be, I could start door dashing now in Ward 16
Through the
with my
chair.
golf cart.
Yeah, through the chair, it's part of their business model.
Okay, all right, that's good to know.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions regarding ordinance number 1215-2025? I know that Councilman Bishop wanted to be recorded as a no. Could you record Councilman Bishop as a no? And I believe everybody else is good. So seeing no other questions, ordinance number 1215-2025 as amended stands approved. Thank you so much. Please sign on. Public safety is here for the next one. All right. Yes. Thank you. All right, this is ordinance number 1082-2025 by council members Polinsik and Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the directors of public safety and finance to enter into one or more contracts with Heritage Health Solutions, Inc. for medical billing services for inmates and prisoners for the departments of public safety and finance for a period of 1 year with 2 one-year options to renew, exercisable by the director of finance. Director.
All right, through the chair to the committee. So this is a bill requesting to allow us to enter into a contract with Heritage Health for prisoner medical billing. So as you know, when someone gets arrested in the city, we are responsible for their medical costs until they're handed over to a third party, mainly the county in most instances. An RFP was put out for these services. Current provider, Medical Mutual, also responded to the RFP. So out of the 6 responses, we felt that Heritage had the best response. They also are cheaper than the incumbent, and they offer certain services like an online portal, which are new and will improve services in general. So with that, we have the Commissioner of Risk, Ed Romero, and April Bucci from Risk as well to answer any questions, as well as Public Safety.
Thank you. Anybody else want to?
Yeah, through the chair also, at the Safety Committee meeting, there information is required, and I want to add in there as well that historically the cost of the medical claims and administrative fees have been budgeted in the Division of Corrections, and the amount of about $750,000. We anticipate that amount to be sufficient for this contract. We believe that the amount may be lower, but that's what annually has been budgeted for prisoner pay. I mean, the medical pay or bills. I'm sorry.
Could you say that amount again?
$750,000.
And that's based on how many prisoners?
It's not based on prisons. That's just an estimated amount. It's not necessarily amount of prisoners.
Interesting. Because didn't we have a conversation about capping the amount of medical expenses that we were having at some point in time, or not? We never have?
No.
Okay. All right. Councilman Polinsik.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues. We discussed this piece of legislation at length, and we just wanted to be assured that no city employees were losing their jobs, and we are assured that that was not the case, correct?
Through the chair to Councilman Polinsik, that is correct.
Okay. And we support it overwhelmingly, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Any other questions regarding ordinance number 1082-2025? Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 1082-2025 stands approved. Please sign off. All right, we will now move to finance. All right. First is ordinance number 1216-2025 by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request to establish the local government test fund. Director.
Thank you. Through the chair to the committee. So this is to establish a local government test fund required by law. It's for closing costs reserves for the Ridge Road transfer station. So as you're aware, the city picks up garbage, goes to a transfer station, gets dropped off, and then a vendor takes it to a landfill. The law has changed. This previously was in waste, but now we're required to create a special revenue fund for this, which can also be used towards EPA remediation. The amount is approximately $200,000. But again, we are requesting this because of a change in law.
So in essence, we're doing, from what my great policy team told me, this is in essence what we sort of do with gas stations. Like you have to have a certain amount of money set aside whenever there's a tank in order to be able to guarantee that you can remove that tank in an environmentally sound way. So pretty much this is like backstopping anything associated with the Ridge Road transfer station, right?
Yeah, to the chair, that's correct. We in no way expect, the transfer center to close, but this gives us, this is a required backstop for that in case there were closing costs, and also covers any EPA remediation we would need to cover.
So I hope everybody, understands this. This is pretty much a state law now requiring that we have to have a certain amount of money in place guaranteed so that if the Ridge Road transfer station was to ever closed, we would have to clean it up. We would have to have certain things in place, and we have to have an account to do that. And we do it with gas stations and other type of venues in the city already. So pretty par for the course. Any other questions regarding 1216-2025?
Yeah, Mr.
Councilman
Chairman.
Michael Pelosi.
The question I have, Mr. Chairman, how is the dollar amount established?
Through the chair, the council member, each year we have a report done by our independent auditors.
Yeah.
So we have to have that also. That gives us the price. Previously, we were able just to budget this in waste as a line item in the operating budget that we never spent, but we were required to reserve it. But now the new law requires it to be in a special fund separate. So that's why we're asking to have this. But we get a report every year that we create that the auditors do during the audit that gives us the amounts. They estimate the cost of closing it.
Okay, so, Mr. Chairman, just briefly, so it's not a yearly amount, correct?
Through the chair, the councilperson, that money will sit there. Now, the amount may go up, so we'll come back to council if it goes up by 10,000 or whatever the number is. So we may be coming back to get additional money each year if it goes up. But that money will sit there. It doesn't get spent unless we close the station. So that'll just sit in the sub-fund. Again, we have no plans of closing the Ridge Road transfer station.
Right.
It's required now to have that money on hand, whatever the estimate is, in the event it is closed. It's
So then, just to follow up, so then where we have fueling stations within the city, which we do, are we required to do the same on the fueling stations?
Through the chair, I'm not aware of that. I haven't seen that. We might have that. It's not something that we've looked at, so maybe it's being handled by MBM, but I'm not aware of that one. This is one handled by finance because it's part of the audit through the Ohio EPA, and we're
Okay.
required to do that report.
So I would just make a request, not to belabor the point, through the chair to the director, if we, with regard to our fueling stations that we have, several, in fact, we have one right down here, Joseph Stamps, are we required, do we have money set aside on all the fueling stations as well? And I'll leave it at that. I'll look
Director.
forward again. Thank you, Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman.
No, through the chair to the councilman, we'll get that for you.
Okay, thank you.
So if we can get that, Ms. Magistros, to make sure that we have that follow-up request. And, just back to the councilman's point, I would anticipate even though I don't know if I'm right or not, that the cost would be associated with what would be the estimated cost that EPA would require in order to clean up that property. So if EPA every year, do you guys have to look at an adjustment to what EPA may charge, and that price may go down or up depending on that? And number two, is this fund specifically used for that, which means that we can't dip into it for anything else?
To the council president, yes, we'll go up or down based upon that report. We have an independent auditor that will do that cost estimation every year, and that's the amount we're required to put in there. And that the special revenue fund is specifically only if the Ridge Road station closes to remediate it. It cannot be used for anything else. It has to be used for that if it closes. So if it doesn't close, that money will just be sitting in the special revenue.
And does that special revenue gain interest?
Through the chair of the council person, yes, it'll be part of the commingled interest.
So will we run into a problem like we did about 6 months ago where we gain money on interest, and because we gain money on interest, we actually get a penalty similar to what we did the one time with when we had an increase in the bottom line because the interest rates went down?
Through the chair of the council person, because this is commingled interest and not bond interest, there'll be no problem. We can earn as much as we can
And you
earn.
call it what interest?
Bond interest.
This is not bond.
This is not bond
What interest is it?
This is just a commingled cash position or a non-bond money.
Non-bond money, legal
Yep.
cash position.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Yes, thank you.
All right. No other questions, or do we have any other questions? Ordinance number 1216-2025 stands approved. Thank you. Please sign on. Okay, next we have ordinance number 1224-2025 by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance to provide for the transfer and amendment of $350,000 within the general fund. Director.
Yeah, through the chair to the committee, so this is a transfer ordinance. Essentially, we've had a larger than normal class with firefighters. So we've got 12 additional firefighters that we wanted to make room for so we could bring them on immediately. In order to do this, we're going to transfer, or we're requesting to transfer 12 of the vacancies from police to fire temporarily until attrition basically wipes out that deficit, and then we plan to move them back. And the $350,000 covers those 12 firefighters for the remainder of the year.
Okay, so these are just basically unfilled police positions that make up that $350,000.
To the chair, that's correct.
Now, when you look at $350,000, you have a base pay of approximately 80-something thousand, but then you also have overtime, you have equipment, and you have about 35% that you usually spend for fringe and benefits. So how is that only $350,000 for 12 employees?
Yeah, so to the chair, this is just till the end of the year. We're already
so it's
in
not for a
October,
full year.
so it's not a full year. No, we will.
Okay.
At the end of the year, we usually come back with another transfer ordinance and supplemental. So if we're in a position where attrition had taken those positions away, to the point where we're breaking even, then we could move those vacancies back to police at the end of the year.
So just so that we know,
I'm
we're
really
going to really
confused
need to
there.
watch that in safety and public safety so that we can make sure, Councilman Polinsik, when we do that, to make sure that those 12 positions are restored into the police department, if I'm hearing that correctly.
And through the chair, if I also,
I have a question.
through the chair, if I can also add, right now, I believe we're a total of 8 right now over the budget amount. We're at 765 for the Division of Fire. At least that's what we're budgeted for. I'm sorry, that's where we're at right now. We're budgeted for 757, so we're about 8 over right now. We anticipate a couple more firefighters are trading out before the end of the year. And then next year, of course, they're going to trade down as Director Barrett says, the money will be, or the positions will be put back into the Division of Police.
Okay, and I know Councilman Mike Polinsik and Councilman Casey have questions, but just out of curiosity, we're taking $350,000 from police. Does that mean we don't have an overtime issue this year, and that the Pittman staffing strategy actually worked, that we won't have a large overtime budget this year?
Through the chair, the overtime budget is over for the Division of Police. However, our staffing, because we're not meeting our full staffing, we're able to cover those expenses.
Okay. Councilman Polinsky, then Councilman Casey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, to the directors, I don't understand why this didn't come to public safety for discussion, a piece of legislation, because I thought this would pertaining to both police and fire. So that that's my number.
So through the chair, through Councilman Polinsky, that's certainly on me, not
Okay.
Director Barrett. Director Barrett and I had conversations and so forth. So as you know, we meet every week, so that's on me, not Director Barrett.
Because it was never brought up in our discussions that we meet again weekly. So I'm okay. I'll overlook it this time, but you understand where I'm at. I believe the safety committee is important, and issues that affect the division of Department of Public Safety, Division of Police, and Division of Fire, I certainly want to be aware of. So explain to me at this point that you're going to take, so I understand this, you're taking the money out of the funds out of the Division of Police, correct? How much?
Through the chair to the councilman, $350,000, which equates to 12 head count, which was the original number that Director Drummond and I had discussed.
And you're transferring that into fire?
Through the chair to the councilman, that's correct.
Okay. So we passed the budget in April calling for the hiring of 181 police officers. Where are we with regard to that number?
Through the chair, I'll get that information for you. I don't have that currently in front of me, but as you know, we've had several academy classes
Okay.
graduate. But I can get to the total amount of
Yeah, I'd
recruits
like-
that we had graduate. It's not totaling 180 right now, but
Well,
I'll get you the number.
I know that. That's what concerns me. Because we had that discussion internally within the body, and we came to the resolution that we wanted to keep 180 new hires in the Division of Police. And so, again, I appreciate the steps that have been taken by the administration to ramp up hiring, but we're not anywhere near where we need to be in hiring. And when you look at these growing concerns that are being expressed to council members, especially as patrols and visibility, and then this rampant break-in of vehicles in the city that we're seeing from one end of the city to the other. In fact, I was told last week in one neighborhood on the west side, 60 cars were broken into. 60 cars in one day were broken into. And so I'm just, we need visibility. We've asked repeatedly for the Ohio Highway Patrol to come up here in force to do traffic enforcement so we can, so they can augment the Division of Police. At every neighborhood meeting I go to, I'm getting the request of traffic enforcement. They want traffic enforcement. And today we learned that there's only 20 officers in traffic, and we all know that a lot of the times they're tied up downtown. So from the standpoint of our neighborhoods, we're not getting the traffic enforcement we need to have. So all I'm saying is this, Mr. Chairman, to the directors, that you're moving money out of the Division of Police into fire, and I understand that, and you said you're going to be coming back with a transfer ordinance. I'm assuming, when will that transfer ordinance come before us?
Through the chair to the councilman, it usually occurs at the end of the year when
Okay.
we tie out our budget.
But again, I just want to drive home this issue. We need police on the street. We need police on the streets, and I can't be more emphatic about that. So I'm going to support this, but any other changes, movement of funds, Mr. Chairman, must come through the Safety Committee. Thank you.
Through the chair, certainly understand. Also, if I can, real quick, Chair, to Councilman Polinsky, so I certainly understand you, and again, we'll make sure that anything related to public safety, police, fire, that we have our conversations. We'll make sure that also along the lines of the vehicles that were broken into, I can tell you that the Division of Police and their officers, and primarily in District 3 and other districts as well, made an arrest this weekend. Approximately 10 individuals, 9 were juveniles, and 1 adult. And they recovered 4 stolen vehicles. So they're really active this weekend, but so were the Division of Police. I want to commend them for their actions for arresting those individuals.
Just on that point, were any guns recovered?
Through the chair, I'm not quite sure. I can
Okay.
double. I believe.
Thank you.
I believe so. I believe 2 weapons
yeah, I
were
believe
recovered
so.
along with 4 stolen vehicles.
Thank you.
And you took the words out of my mouth. I was actually going to commend you. I just left from Little Italy, and we actually just updated some of the leadership there because we know that there was approximately about 15 cars that had smash and grabs, and they apprehended those suspects.
Yep.
So appreciate that.
Great work. Yep.
Councilwoman Santana.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through the chair to the director, could you let us know what happens after court? I think that's where, things get lost, where I'm sure they let them out, or whatever the case may be. Can you give us a report on what happens after the court?
Through the chair, absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you. Councilman Brian Casey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, to the Finance Director, what happens if we don't pass this piece of legislation?
Through the chair to the councilman, those 12 could be added to a wait list, and we wouldn't be able to employ them, the firefighters. So that could happen, or just not hire them at all.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, to Director Drummond, you got a budget at the beginning of the year, correct?
Through the chair, that's correct.
And you've went over budget now?
To the chair, we have 8 right now, 8 additional firefighters over our budgeted amount.
All right, so Mr. Chairman, to Director Drummond, you've went over budget, correct? And that's why you need the additional $350 to hire these individuals, correct?
Through the chair, yes, that's
All right.
correct.
So, Mr. Chairman, to Director Drummond, is there any danger of any other public safety departments going over budget for this year?
Through the chair, none.
Okay. And then, Mr. Chairman, to the Finance Director, what does this do to the Community Police Commission's budget as they're a percentage of the police budget, and now we're taking $350,000, which lowers the total amount of the Cleveland Police Department, which means what happens with the Community Police Commission now?
To the chair, the councilperson, at this point, we didn't think about reducing that, so we'll have to talk about that internally and bring that to council if we want to reduce that. That's a great point, and that's not something really we thought about right now, reducing that. We know that it's a percentage statutorily. Now, if it's above, I don't think we have a problem, but we cannot be below it. But now it'll be a little bit above, slightly above what it's required because of this amendment.
Correct. So, Mr. Chairman, to either directors, you indicated earlier that you were going to replenish the $350,000. How do you plan on replenishing it? Are you waiting until next year's budget to over budget for $350,000 just to pay back the police out of the fire budget, or how do you plan on replenishing the $350,000?
Yeah, so through the chair to the councilman, by the end of the year, we plan on doing another transfer ordinance to move the head count back to police.
Yeah, I understand, but where's that money going to come from?
Through the chair to the councilman, so most of the salaries will be paid like through the end of the year on those positions. So when we budget in 2026, the budget will reflect the replacement of those.
Right, so you'll over budget by $350,000 to give back to the police. We want to make sure the police get their dollars back, right? And you got to pull it from somewhere because it's not going to come literally from fire, right? Because they're over budget already, so they don't have the ability to replenish $350,000. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jim.
Through the chair to the councilman, because police will have a savings overall in the budget by year end, we usually transfer money out of police to fire and other folks that will be over before the end of the year. So technically, they'll just have $350,000 less transferred out, so they won't be technically recovering it. What they will recover next year, as the year ends, whatever the number of attrition and fire that of the 12 people, we will add back before we present the budget.
So, Mr. Chairman, to the Finance Director, we need to be careful with the taking money from the police because they're tied to the police commission.
Understood.
Right? And you don't want to start reducing the police commission's dollars that they're owed because we're taking dollars, but we also don't want to overpay them because they're, by statute, right, their dollar amount is set, and we want to follow the law, right, by the amount of dollars that we give to them. So we need to, in the future, Mr. Chairman, to their directors, we need to be careful about taking money that is over for the police department and moving it around because it's tied to a different entity with the police commission now. So we need to look into that. And I would just suggest just hire the people because that's where the money's coming from, right? It's coming from lack of, I mean, this is twofold, right? It's great that we're getting 12 edition firefighters, but it's, on the same hand, it's frustrating because we're taking it from police officers that are supposed to be hired. So I don't want to say robbing Peter to pay Paul, but you see the frustration over here as well. So if you could get back to us, Mr. Chairman, to the directors on how this is going to affect the police commission and how their allocated dollars are going to be affected. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 1224-2025 stands approved. Please sign on. Human Resources. All right, ordinance number 1298-2025 by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance to amend sections 30, 40, and 45 of ordinance number 194-2021 passed March 29th, 2021 as amended relating to salaries for various classifications. Director.
Thank you, Chair and Committee. So this correct is to amend 3 sections of the pay band ordinance, specifically Section 30, Section 40, and Section 45. In Section 30, we are eliminating the buyer position and replacing it with a procurement specialist position. The reason for this is after review, it was determined that the buyer was an outdated position and the procurement specialist is more in line with contemporary standards. In addition, we are going to change the pay band to be more in line with the market, which increases the minimum to $50,000 and the maximum to $105,000. Secondly, is to, upon review of the veterinarian position, is to amend the salary of the veterinarian position. We've had difficulty in recruiting for this position, so we've been using individuals on an hourly basis. Just of note, the average salary in this area for veterinarians is usually between $155,000 to $160,000, with the top being well over $200,000. So we're recommending the amendment to a minimum of $70,000 and a maximum of $200,000, not necessarily what we will pay, but just in case. And then finally, Section 45 is really just a housekeeping, is to increase the maximum for head usher and organ tuner to $16.26 hourly, and that's in line with the living wage legislation that came through last month.
All right, thank you. Just real quick, so the buyer used to be a very important role in purchasing, commissioner of purchasing. Will the buyer still have the same responsibilities? Because those buyers were very shrewd on making sure that all of the MBE, FBE, and CSB goals were met and that the actual bidders were being compliant. They also were very good at making sure that they reached out to and advocated to people to make sure that they knew when opportunities to bid were available. Has that changed at all? Have their roles and duties expanded? Are they the same, or how is that changing?
To the chair, yes, I would say that they've expanded. To the way they will conduct business, the shrewdness I would expect to remain, if not increase, on behalf of the city and our tax dollars. The actual revisions to the minimums weren't great in terms of they weren't big changes, and we added a substitution clause as well for an individual who doesn't have a bachelor's degree. But now we're actually preferring certifications in certified professional public buyer, certified purchasing professional, or certified professional in supply management. So we're actually looking for individuals with a higher level of credentialing, in addition to, of course, wanting individuals to get the best prices on things they buy for the city.
I always want to get the best quality people as possible. However, I'm a little biased towards the buyers because that was sort of like an entry-level way of people being able to come into this kind of procurement world. And what I hope we're not doing is setting the bar too high for entry-level positions. Are we doing that, especially by removing or especially by adding the bachelor-level certifications, where a lot of times people may want to come in, or we've had interns that moved up in the system, and then once they moved up in the system, they gradually received some of those certifications. I just don't want to inadvertently start narrowing the market, and that's what is interesting. Has civil service looked at this, and have they approved this, or who's approved these job descriptions or classifications?
To the chair, yes. It actually went through the September 26th Civil Service meeting approval. Just of note, the current buyer position, there's actually already a requirement for a minimum of a bachelor's degree that has existed. We actually made the position more flexible for someone who actually is coming from a world of interning or experience by adding a substitution clause. So we actually made it an easier pathway for individuals who don't have a bachelor's degree.
Okay, sounds good to me. Councilman Michael Polinsky.
Mr. Chairman, okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. My question is this. How did these three sections, what brought these three sections to your attention? I'm trying to figure out what gets on the radar screen and what doesn't.
That's a great question. Through the chair to the councilman, usually it's one of two main ways. Either one, the department approaches us because they're having difficulty in hiring for a particular position,
Yes.
or they're looking to update the positions within their department or division. So that's one way that it comes to us. The second and more comprehensive way is the ongoing review of all civil service positions that's being conducted by the Civil Service Department.
Okay.
To bring all of the positions in the city as much in line with today.
Okay. Are school guard civil service positions?
Through the chair to the councilman, yes, they are
Okay.
civil servants.
So then, I'm told, as all members are told, we are having a terrible problem trying to fill school guard positions. Correct?
Through the chair to the councilman, I'm not sure what the count is. I know we've been doing some additional recruiting for school guards.
Okay, well, I'm told there's a bunch of vacancies. So, through the chair to you as director, have you given any thought to look at the dollar amount we're paying school guards?
Through the chair to the councilman, we have, I don't know what the most recent review was. Certainly I can take that back as a takeaway. One of the main things we use to try to attract school guards is healthcare.
Yes.
Which is, pretty unusual for, kind of a part-time incremental position. So we really
understand
try to promote that as a means for an individual who may be retired, for instance, to become a school guard because they have the ability to get health care.
But Mr. Chairman, to the director again, for the health care, what do they get? What do they get for the health care? Do they get the full package of health care?
Through the chair to the councilman, I believe it's major medical is the main. I'm not entirely sure about vision or dental offhand at the moment.
Okay, but do they have to pay, is there a copay for that?
Through the chair to the councilman, there is a very minor copay for the same level of coverage as every other city employee.
Okay, so then, Mr. Chairman, to the director, I'm going to ask you officially, we need to take a look at compensation for the school guards. If we're having difficulties, then there's got to be a reason for it, okay, why we can't attract, why we can't get people. And when I see these people blowing through these school zones, total disregard for the 20-mile-an-hour speed limit. Blowington, I got these kids, little kids crossing. I got moms trying to cross, grandmas trying to cross. These characters just blowing through these school zones. We need to have school guards. Plus the fact we need to have traffic enforcement, but that's a whole other thing in itself. But we've got to look at, because you just indicated here that you're looking at how we can better adjust or reassess what we're paying folks. So I'm going to ask again, as it pertains to the school guards, that there be an honest review. Should the, what is it, 20 something? What is the rate today for a school guard? You know?
Through the chair to the councilman, I don't know offhand.
I think it's $20 some plus. But I'm just going to ask you again, through the chair, that there be an absolute deep dive as to what we need to do to try to attract more school guards. Because when you look at all these vacancies that are there, there's got to be a reason for it. And there just has to be a reason. Now, is it the pay? Is it what the copay is for the medical? I don't know. Okay, but I'm trying to make sure. And there was a time we had no vacancies in school guards. I can tell you that. And there were no vacancies. And now here we are. We've got a good number of them, and I'm just trying to get. I'm trying to get some clarification. My last question to you is this, Mr. Chairman, as it pertains to the bargaining units. How many bargaining units are there?
Through the chair to the councilman, there's 33.
And how many have we settled with as of this point?
We are, as of today, we're at 45%, or I believe we're at 10 fully executed, 10 or 11 fully executed. We are right at the border of tentative agreements on several more. And I'm bringing one next week on the 20th.
So out of the 33, we have 40. We're at a 45% approval, ratification, and approved by council.
Through the chair to the councilman. So it's kind of fluid in terms of fully executed. In addition to ratification by council, the union, and signature, there's 10 or 11, I believe, as of today. In terms of ratification by the union but not by council, I think there's 3 pending.
Okay.
One is on the docket for the 20th, and I think we're going to have a couple more for the following. And then there's several right now that are either have just reached TA or just pending union ratification that will then be brought forth for council ratification.
Because if it's not ratified by council, there isn't an agreement.
To the chair to the council, through the chair to the councilman, there's an agreement, but it's pending ratification.
Right. So until the council passes it, you can agree to whatever you want, but the council has to agree to it, to confirm it, so those bargaining units can get their increase or whatever changes into their collective bargaining agreement. So give me some indication. Are we in a better position than we were in the past or not? Because again, I'm thinking 45%, got 33 bargaining units, 45% is, are we ahead of the game or behind the game here?
Through the chair to the councilman, comparatively to the past, we are well ahead of the game. Previously to the current cycle we're in, we were ratifying contracts that had been expired for 2 to 3 years. We are ratifying contracts now for the 2025 through 2028 cycle. So comparatively, we are well ahead of the game, and that was coming in at a disadvantage with many contracts that had been way expired.
Yes.
We had to catch up on for the last cycle, and now are moving ahead for this cycle.
And it's fine. Who's doing our negotiations? What's the law firm?
Through the chair to councilman, so the public safety contracts are being negotiated primarily by Wilkins, the Wilkins law firm.
Wilkins?
Wilkins.
That's W-I-L-K-N.
W-I-L-K-I-N-S.
Okay.
And the primary negotiator is Patrick Hoban.
Okay.
And for the non-public safety or non-conciliatory contracts, it's the law firm is Stefanik Iosu. Stefanik Iosu.
Okay.
And the primary negotiators are, or primary negotiator, excuse me, is Jeremy Iosu.
Okay. I don't know either firm, so I'm just wondering. Okay.
They're both very
They're
reputable
both local
labor
firms? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
All right. Seeing no other questions, ordinance number 1298-2025 will be heard for consideration by the full council this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
One last piece of legislation, if Mrs. Siggers could come to the table.
Director, don't go. Okay. I need to see.
This is ordinance number 1217-1225 by Councilmember Griffin, an emergency ordinance authorizing the clerk of council to enter into an agreement with Granicus LLC to purchase cloud-based software subscriptions and services for an integrated legislative management system for Cleveland City Council. Mrs. Siggers.
Good afternoon. To the Law Department, I do have an amendment. The funding source should be general fund, and the object should be 6320-00.
I believe that
Section
that
2.
amendment needs to come from one of the council members.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Do we have one of the council members that can offer that amendment? And could you repeat that?
Yes.
Thank you.
So wait a
Councilman
minute.
Casey have put forth the amendment.
Sorry about that.
So she gives it to me.
Section 2.
All right, under, Mr. Chairman, I have an amendment to 1217-2025. Under Section 2, add SB 6320-00
In the subfund. It's O1.
after the second line. Are we taking out 632?
The 6320000 should be just 6320.
All right, so in line 2, Mr. Chairman, after fund numbers, it should read SB 6320-00,
And the fund number should be 01001.
01-001.
Yes.
All right, we have an amendment. Do we have a second? All right, we have an amendment has been moved and seconded. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, back to the amendment. Do we have any other questions regarding ordinance number 1217-2025? All right, seeing no other questions, ordinance number 1217-2025 as amended stands approved. Please sign on. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. This concludes this Committee of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion.
Council.
Chair, this meeting is adjourned. Finance. Whatever he said.